Michael J. Nelson, Conor Listoka here with 372 pages we'll never get back. And right off the bat, I have to say Grey's Anatomy is still on, Conor.
Yep.
This can't be possible.
Is that something you woke up in the middle of the night thinking about? Just like a start? You sat up bolt upright? It's still on TV!
It's still on! No, I thought it was over, as you know. In our pre-conversation, I was sure I had seen a tearful last episode promo, but no, that was just, I guess, the last episode of the 80th season of it.
Yeah. It's like a biennial, like Groundhog Day or something, where once every 2 years or 18 months or something, you or I will see some sort of, it will cross our radar, obviously, that neither of us watch it or have anyone in our lives that watch it, but we will become aware that it is still on TV, and we will let each other know about that. And
It's like at this point, it's that stupid thing where what's the longest running show on TV? It's the nightly news or whatever.
Right,
like,
yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
But now Grey's Anatomy making a good run at it.
Yeah, I wonder if it has
Today Show or whatever.
I wonder if there are jaded guys like me about The Simpsons where it's like that hasn't been good since season 11 type of thing.
I'm sure there are. Anyway, this is not a podcast where we talk about Grey's Anatomy. This is where we talk about bad books. We're in the middle of Ernest Cline's, we're nearing the end of Ernest Cline's Ready Player 2.
Yeah, this is the penultimate episode about it. And I say it's not about Grey's Anatomy yet, but give Ready Player 3 a chance, because there's no telling what he might wedge in there. If they start taking if he runs a Patreon or something and the $5,000 tier lets you pick which planet he's going to go to next, like we could have the Grey's Anatomy planet, we could have the Nickelodeon Hey Dude planet. He's running out of stuff that you can really dive deep into here.
Do you think he would be so desperate that he'd do like a sports planet at some point?
Oh man,
just lose every fan that he had.
That would be like a Neil Young's, what was it called, the Transformer album, where he just did everything with the vocoder, or the Rockabilly Planet, just designed to alienate his fans and fill out his contract.
Right. Yeah. There's Van Morrison did one, Contractual Obligation album.
Yes.
Where he just smashed on the guitar and sang nonsense words.
Songs about ringworm.
Was that one of them?
Yeah, by the look on your face, you've got ringworm.
All right. Well, we have all the departments. We have Conor going to be doing real or fanfic this week, so that's a banner. That's
we've been doing that over.
For.
You've been grilling me as Patreon extras. We decided to flip the script this time. I've been knocking them out of the park over there, so undoubtedly I'm going to stumble over my feet into a tray of pies when we do it in prime time here.
You consider 60% is knocking it out of the park?
It's like batting average, like striking out 7 out of 10 times. You're an all-star. You're in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Of course, when you get 60%, it's just embarrassing, and we applaud their devious efforts. And
yep, it's just eternal shame for me. Also, we'll be revealing the title of my Raspberry Beret parody.
Long awaited, hotly debated by one guy in the comments.
One guy was interested. That's about as it should be. That's a little more interest than I would have thought there would be. But,
right. You said like, write in with your suggestions, and I was like, oh my God, we're going to be buried under a bunch of parody suggestions. Nope.
One. That's the kind of 372 bump we give to when we do our Meet the Authors. That's what happens. Well, should we dive in?
Yeah, well, speaking of bumps, we might as well address it. I think I told you when it was about to happen, but we hit our 1 millionth download with the last episode, pushed us over the bump. So that's a nice James Winnie and round number to be celebrated.
That is very good. Yeah, I would have thought a tenth of that. So that's good to know.
It is the sort of thing, people I think in my life are vaguely aware that we are doing this, for a couple hours every other week. And so when you're able to post a big number like that, that's the sort of thing that gets people's attention. Not, write-ups or devoted fans or anything like that, but like, 1 million, that's,
So we now become the what? millionth most listened to podcast. Is that?
Yeah,
is
I think
how that works?
we're behind a weekly recap of Shirt Tales chronologically. Those guys are like Patreon's top 10.
All right. Well, chapter 22 of Ready Player 2. There's no putting it off. Let's dive in there. Let's get our hands dirty and start talking about it. The plot so far, John Hughes exists. That's the plot as I understand it.
He exists and has a distressingly deep voice.
But he's cheerful and types fast.
Yep, and he envelops our heroes in big bear hugs, and they gaze around with "can't believe this is happening" expressions. And that was about half of the book, the John Hughes planet. But yeah, they've got they're in the quest for, I think, 3 more shards at this point in time. They need to find 7. Also, the clock is ticking, and it's not exaggerating to say we are 90 minutes away from everyone dying. Horrible deaths on the planet.
People are starting to exhibit symptoms of the problem that the O&I gives you that was apparently well known and built into the program, and that is you start to lose your bodily functions and slip into a mild coma. So that's beginning as well.
Yes, yeah, it's the VR equivalent of Olestra chips is essentially what's going to happen. You have one, you might be okay, but if you go to town on the whole bag, there's going to start to be some unpleasant side effects in a couple hours.
Right.
But also, I feel like I should mention this is that I got a rig.
What?
I got a rig. I got an Oculus for Christmas.
Oh yeah.
So as we experience these people logged into it for 12 hours, you're gunting all over the place, you're sharding, and it changes the world. They neglect to mention this little fact is that if you expose your rig to sunlight, it's done. It's over. Like, I left it plugged in on my desk. I'd had it for about a month, and it was a rare sunny winter day in Vermont, and my office could get some sunlight, and it was sitting face up. And essentially the lenses that make everything look, big in front of your eyes make it so immersive.
Yeah.
They're just magnifying glasses. So a ray of sun is like when you would go to an anthill, and it just burnt sun into the screen.
I suppose they just figure, putting a rig on is anti-sun, and I suppose they figured you'd be in your spider coffin, so there's really no danger.
It was really on me. It's but they were gracious enough. I sent it back, and they're going to replace it because, they don't really say do not expose to the life-giving force of the sun on the Facebook page.
I suppose that would be weird to see someone out in his backyard in, California playing it.
True, yeah. That's where you need to go to get all the room if you're in California. Anyway, but yeah, so they're on the Prince planet, and they are purchasing, as we teased earlier, the Raspberry Beret. That's how this starts. So,
yes.
should we delve into it? Should we reveal the guess and then the truth?
Yeah, sure.
So the one guess we got, oh brother, I already clicked away from his name, but it was Strawberry Bidet.
That's just not bad.
It's a good guess.
Yeah.
Is it accurate?
It is not accurate. In fact, it's pretty far off. That's
Whoa.
it. We took a different tack with it. The point of our parody was to take all the poetry and humor out of Prince and make it a very mundane story.
Okay.
And so it is called Red Colored French Hat.
Oh my
is the
God.
title of our song. And then it retells the story only with, I don't remember much else about it. I think it was when it was warm, she wouldn't wear no socks. So it had to rhyme with something like that. Wow. So it was just a very...
I like it. Yeah.
Take the poetry out and make it bland.
Was this something that ever actually was performed or recorded, or was it just something you talked about?
No, it was performed. We probably did snippets of it. Like a 80s comedian where you have a guitar and your sleeves are rolled up and then you play like a virgin. Yeah, right. And then you stop. And, that kind of a thing. So thank you, Strawberry Bidet. That was a good guess.
That was from Josh G. And I neglected Mike Lesk also submitted Raspberry Parfait.
Okay.
So here's what
it wasn't that either.
No, here's what I wanted to know about this Raspberry Beret. So he puts it on. He says, "If you find out you're messing with me right now, H, there will be hell to pay." I don't think H would have been messing with him because, as we've repeatedly emphasized, millions of lives are at stake. So it'd be a weird time for stopping at a clothes store to make him look silly. Prank.
That would be odd, but given the demeanor of these people at this time, I wouldn't put it past her.
Right. But then, so H says, the little red Corvette won't start unless you're wearing the raspberry beret. And that's the last mention of the beret. So in my mind, and I think by all logic, he's wearing this beret for the rest of the book.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
There's never a thing like, the blast from microphone gun Prince knocked it off my head, or I threw it away once the quest had ended. It's just never mentioned again, like so many things. It's here in the present, and then Klein is just, the object permanence is lacking in him.
He's all right. Well, now we get to picture everything with a beret on. That makes it a little bit better. Mm-hmm. I thought it angered me greatly that he just restated the song. Because, for what it's worth, there's a little bit of humor in the song, Prince humor. So, put it on that, calibrate your tastes of humor there.
Sure.
But H finished walking me through the elaborate process of purchasing the beret. First, and this is in parentheses, so this is just restating the lyrics of the song. First, I had to ask the owner, Mr. McGee, for a job. Then H instructed me to stand behind the counter and do something close to nothing. Until Mr. McGee told me several times that he didn't like my kind because I was a bit too leisurely. Yep, those are the lyrics of the song.
Great.
Why? What is wrong with him?
I guess if you've heard a song that has been streamed, hundreds of millions of times on Spotify and dominated the airwaves, you might think you're part of some in-group or something.
I don't know.
But it's also this weird fashion that he uses to just horribly diminishing effect where it's like in the past tense, but like from 10 seconds ago, like, H is never being like, now go over there and do this. I walked over there feeling like a big dork, but I did what she said. It's always like, she told me to do this, referred to this as this. And like, that's a scene in his mind. That is how he tells a story.
Yeah. Oh, there's upcoming action where people are referring to things, but again, not happening.
Yeah.
Like the action is concurrent with people referring to things.
Yes.
When are they doing this?
Exactly.
Have they done?
Yeah. What were you? Yeah. We'll get to that because the actual battle scene is full of that, and it frustrated me to no end.
And for what it's worth, I've discussed this with you already. The layout of Minneapolis is completely wrong. And I just don't understand why, if you're going to make reference to it, because it doesn't add to the story or anything, why not just get it right? I don't understand getting it 100% wrong.
That's an interesting theory. Get things right in your book. That's,
Editor, again, a little call out for an editor.
What specifically was like glaring?
Driving the wrong way, like mentioning very specifically I-394, which... we've traveled on when we've gone to Twins games. It goes right into downtown. Just going the opposite direction, away from town, to get to Seven Corners, which has nothing to do with Prince, and go to the club Glam Slam that was actually existed downtown, which is quite a ways away from Seven Corners, and nowhere near I-394 west in the opposite direction. So just 100% wrong in every detail for no reason that I can see.
Was it just picking locations out of a hat and just hoping that
Yeah, and just saying them. I mean, if I was going to reference Manhattan, I probably would want to get my facts right because people would be a little, people are familiar with Manhattan, and when they read about it and it was 100% wrong, they'd be slightly irritated.
Yeah, and it's not like he's even a coastal elite who thinks that Minneapolis is like in the middle of like an Iowa cornfield. He's from Austin, so it's not like he's it's just some foreign place to him.
Right. Like this has happened to me many, many times when I lived in California, and that people would ask me where I was from, and I said Minneapolis, and they'd say, "Oh, where that big car race is?" And I go, "No, not Indianapolis." And then very often the response would be, "Well, same thing." I'm not kidding you.
Very nice.
Isn't that pleasant?
Right. Yeah. I mean, maybe that's the effect of just not having all the sports teams have Minneapolis in the name. They're all Minnesota, which gives it that sort of vague in people's minds.
Right.
Well, then they get in the little red Corvette, which he's able to start since he's wearing the beret for the rest of the book. And I liked this. This is just that sort of One of our favorite things, where if you take him at face value, a lot of time passes with people sitting in silence. He says, H switched on the car's radio, and it began to play Little Red Corvette. When the song ended, it started over again. Apparently, it was the only song the radio would pick up. After a few repetitions, we all started singing along with the chorus. So we've got a song runtime of 5 minutes and 3 seconds here. So after a few repetitions, that has to be at least 3, they all start singing in. Maybe in like 16 minutes is when they sort of sadly start chiming in here.
And again, on the clock,
right?
Starting to develop seizure symptoms.
Yeah.
But sitting around for the third, fourth go-around of Little Red Corvette.
It is. It's like a zombie movie where a character is pretending they haven't been bitten. Like Shoto's pretending he's not getting the hysteria that comes along with synaptic overload syndrome.
Yes.
And speaking of Shoto, this exchange is just the whole thing. Hold up a second, H said, turning around in her seat to address Shoto. Did my ears just deceive me, or were you singing Living Correct? Shoto nodded. Yeah, so? Those are the lyrics, aren't they? No, those are not the lyrics, Shoto. The title of the song is Little Red Corvette. It always has been. Shoto furrowed his brow. Seriously? Then he shrugged. Wow, that really changes the whole meaning of the song for me. And H is frustrated by this, but we have established that in this book, at least, Shoto does not speak English.
Yes.
Right? So it's sort of like a rush hour exchange going on here. Like she's berating a non-English speaker for not understanding a song that he does not know the words of in his native language.
And this is coming with a little bit of delay, right? This back and forth because of the translator.
Uh-huh. So, yeah, he's a little behind them on the songs. It's like when you're talking to someone but hear your own voice in the microphone. Anyway, I just thought that was a fun little detail. This
is obviously just he knew someone with a misheard lyric thing, not even a clever or funny one, and he just wanted to jam it into the book?
Yep, I guess you're right. It probably was a buddy of his.
Yeah.
Bathroom on the right or...
Yeah, it just was very clunky to jam that in there. It's, we're driving, right? We are on the clock, people. Let's go.
Right. But even like the parsing that out, Little Red Corvette, living correct, like doesn't even, he's missing a whole syllable if he's trying to wedge that into the meter.
Living, I guess you have to add in. Yeah. Shoto, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Here's a terrible, I guess this could be a dumb sentence, but I'm gonna burn it. One of them had a large teddy bear wrapped around her fishnet stocking-covered leg. That's just a terrible way to write that.
Yeah, oddly passive.
Yes. Fishnet stocking-covered leg. Never a phrase you've never seen before. You'll never see it again.
Yeah, thank you. That's a Google whack, I think used to be the term. You get one result for it. So they're still walking around here, right? This is when they encounter Nolan Sorrento, arch villain, man who murdered his aunt, neighbor, countless other people. He shows up for a couple paragraphs.
Yeah, his opening line. Do you have it there?
No, I don't.
This is their arch enemy. Boo! He shouted, making all three of us flinch. This, in turn, made him cackle with delight.
Wow. Well, I'm glad he's having fun out there.
Real Sauron character there, isn't he? Boo. And cackling.
But then he sort of delivers like another sort of response to critics. I don't know, vaguely self-aware, you'd say, but also like maybe a stopped clock being right twice a day. He says,
yes.
Don't you kids ever get tired of picking through the wreckage of a past generation's nostalgia? I mean, look around. The entire oasis is like one giant graveyard, haunted by the undead pop culture icons of a bygone era. A crazy old man's shrine to a bunch of pointless crap. So does this provoke reflection? Does this provoke sort of deep introspection on the characters' parts? It does not, of course. They just say, why are you here? We're kind of busy at the moment.
We've got to sing another chorus of Little Red Corvette. We're very busy.
But he just says, Anorak sent me to check in on you and to remind you that every move you make is being watched. Time is running out and your deadline is non-negotiable. So keep your eyes on the prize or meet your demise. And with that, he teleported away and his avatar vanished. And if that seemed pointless to you, listener, you were not alone.
Yeah. Was he thinking they were unaware of it?
Of the deadline?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Like, we've been keeping track of it every time they mention how much time is left.
Anorak sent me. So what did Anorak call him into his office? Hey, could you pop your avatar into the Prince planet? Say boo to those kids.
Yeah, but Anorak's the guy with like the super user ability, right? Nolan Sorrento is like, he's just out of prison. He's like, well, they only gave me like enough money for like lunch today when I left prison. Could you spare the credits I need to teleport? Anorak's like, no, you this is a debt you're running to me now.
Yeah, I don't the Anorak speculation, because later they say the NPCs might be spying on us. Like, Anorak is an all-powerful, has all knowledge in the world. I don't think he needs the NPCs to spy on you, right? You're talking into a headphone over a digital line. I don't understand why you think.
They've sort of emphasized that they keep going back to the virtual conference room for those thrilling scenes because they have stuff in the walls there that will prevent him from getting in there. But yeah, he has eyes and ears everywhere. He's the ghost in the machine.
Right. Doesn't make any sense. Next to that line, by the way, where the self-reflection or the answering he doesn't answer his critics. He just like voices his critics. He just puts it in there. I just had a big F-bomb by that.
Yeah.
It's not. Get out of here. You're not smart or clever enough to pull off anything like this, and especially not answering it, just saying the criticism of it, which is 100% correct.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Yeah. Provoking no response by the characters. As we examine what the book would have been like if he had made that sort of a theme, if he was, a smarter guy who is, sort of grown as a writer from his past 10 years ago, could have been interesting. However.
Yep, that is not the case.
This was also just a good tossed-off moment as the clock ticks. As H led us to the next intersection, we passed a copy of the Moulin Rouge, which was right next to a place called Ambulance Bar. Up ahead of us, mixed in with all the music venues, I also spotted a video arcade called the Coin Castle. From what little I could see through its front windows, it was packed with nothing but purple pinball machines and video game cabinets. I was hoping H was headed for it, but she ran right past the Coin Castle's front entrance and continued on till we reached a large nightclub. What? Is he's hoping she's headed for it so he can go in there and play pinball and video games? That's what we're left to take away, right?
Yes. So he can go play purple pinball machine.
So he's just he has the attention span of a gnat and the the brain of a 9-year-old who, like, when you're in a place that, like, the restaurant that had one like video arcade machine and you're just like sitting there like sort of looking at it the entire time you're eating, hoping your dad will give you a quarter. That's what he's doing as he is a billionaire attempting to save the world.
Yeah, as his mom is pushing him in the shopping cart, she makes sure not to go through the cereal aisle because he can't stand it.
Right. Oh God, no, come on! That one comes with a whistle in the box.
I also like that he says, from what little I could see through its front windows, it was packed with nothing but purple pinball machine. You can see very little, so it probably isn't. I mean, if you can't see anything, why speculate that it's packed with something?
Right, exactly. It's I'm looking out my window right now. It must be 10 degrees and cold everywhere in the world.
Right.
Well, then he gets to a club, I guess. This is another. This is a trait he exhibits quite a bit in this thing, is that he's never been to this planet, right? And he is not a fan of Prince because it made him too weirdly horny. However, he keeps mentioning that he is confounded by everything he sees. He says there was a large clock mounted up above with "The Time" printed directly above it in all capital letters. This struck me as odd, like printing the date above a calendar. And we get a similar thing later when they try to enter this club, and the big bouncer, Big Chick, says, "What's the password?" he asked in a surprisingly kind voice. H cupped her ear, turned it toward him, and said, "What?" Big Chick nodded, gave us all a friendly grin, and then stepped out of the way. Shoto and I exchanged a perplexed glance and followed H inside. So it's just like, if you went to a country that you've never been to and just were constantly being like, "What?" every time there was a custom or not even a custom, just a thing you'd never seen before.
What kind of word is that? That's not hello. That's a different word.
Yes. Just, in a restaurant, like, they were eating what?
Why does he... Well, we speculated on this last time, but this insistence that... So H knows every single thing there could possibly ever be known about Prince, and he then just knows absolutely nothing? Because he wouldn't watch Purple Rain, right? That's it.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he didn't, he never even listened to a non-sexual song that's incredibly catchy, like "Let's Go Crazy" or, "When Doves Cry" or something.
And then who does he see? I didn't take the whole note here, but that was when I realized how I knew them from their cameo at the end of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yep.
I want to hit him so hard.
Speaking of, F-bombs in the margins. So, it was a DJ. The DJ was Jason Mewes, who plays Jay in those movies. I guess Morris Day was in that movie, and I just said, what are we doing? Why is this in the book? Why would anyone be thinking about this in 2044? Perhaps Jason Mewes was his buddy who got the lyrics to Little Red Corvette wrong. Maybe he wants to meet him. Like that could be the reason here. Okay,
but so just to be clear, Morris Day and the Time make an appearance in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back? Yeah, because he said, Morris Day, please welcome the original 7 members, Morris Day and the Time. That was when I realized how I knew them from their cameo at the end. So he did know who the Time was.
Yes, I suppose so.
What?
But he's realizing that he knew them. He's that's the level of internal monologue we're getting.
Oh, okay. I realized that I suddenly remembered that I realized how I knew them.
Exactly.
Okay,
that
good.
sort of
All
thing.
right.
But yeah, I mean, I was big on those movies in high school. I thought they were pretty cool. I thought it was cool that there was a movie where guys would talk about Star Wars. But this was from 2011. I think I had moved on past at that point in time.
Thank God. I mean, yeah.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, maybe the worst thing to happen in 2001? Possibly? I don't know. Let's see a list
Conor.
of them. But so also, we've got a Jason Mewes NPC, Big Chick the Bouncer, the Beret shopkeeper, Morris Day. Those are all NPCs. I thought we were told that all the NPCs were behaving erratically and wandering around like Westworld and Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Huh. It did say that all the NPCs in sectors 1 through 4 are doing that. So maybe we're not in that sector.
Oh, of course. What sector is the Prince planted? And I'm sure someone can tell us.
That's 7 probably. I don't know.
I thought it was a little unfair because the Morris Day and the Time NPCs come out and he attributes fragmentary sentences to them, which I thought is unfair. Morris Day was known to be sort of loquacious and fast-talking.
Okay.
But he has him say, tonight's the night, period. We're holding auditions, people, to fill out our roster with some new dancers for an upcoming tour, period. So, sentence fragments. Why it's not just one sentence, I don't know.
Would he speak like, I mean, he would just sort of like, he was like a poetic speaker, you're saying?
I think so. I think he was known for that. He was like the smooth-talking guy. So
right.
It was unfair to give him those clunky sentences.
He was a showman, so he could do the sort of, hype,
patter.
DJ patter, yeah.
Yes, yeah, a lot of patter, yeah.
Well, you just missed this part, because he gets some pretty loquacious, verbose grandiosity in when he lets out an ear-splitting walk. WHAWK.
Yeah, that becomes a call sign there, the walking. But I'm unfamiliar with that. Do you know? Is that
No, I've never.
Song?
I've never seen Purple Rain. I don't know Morris Day, so I've.
Was you sexually confused? So
it was just so. It was so embarrassed every time. I had to do the pick up my backpack in front of me maneuver every time someone tried to show Purple Rain.
I'll just sit here for a couple minutes, kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay.
I need some advice after class, please. But speaking of things, so Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, 2001. We get this truly just another moment where I was wondering what I'm doing with my life. Morris Day let out an ear-splitting walk, and the song kicked into high gear. That was when I began to see falling directional arrows on my HUD that matched the arrows lighting up on the dance floor beneath my feet, like a giant game of Dance Dance Revolution. Shoto saw them too, and we all both let out a jubilant roar. DDR, we shouted, as we both began to dance in sync to the arrows. H joined us, and the three of us danced side by side, hitting our marks on the floor in perfect sync.
F-bomb in the margins.
How you feeling? Yeah.
Sonic Challenge, though. You scooted right over it.
Mm-hmm.
Let out a jubilant roar.
Okay. So that's not... DDR is not the jubilant roar? They roar, then DDR?
Well, they shouted DDR, but that was after they let out a jubilant roar.
All right, I'm backing off the mic.
Back off the mic.
Roar!
Oh my God.
That's what I would do if I saw arrows floating to the screen as I began to exhibit lightheadedness and hysteria.
So when they shouted the DDR, did they do the kind of sitcom, like look right at each other, kind of do the little half beat before it and then shout in unison? Yeah.
Yep. That's like the characters who would simultaneously do that when they said road trip or, time to party. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is. And then they all start dancing together. And the scene consists of this. I left off hitting our marks on the floor in perfect sync. We managed to keep it up until the very end of the song. When it was over, Morris called us up on stage and announced that we had passed the audition with flying colors. So just a great scene, full of drama, vivid description. He didn't even bother with, a variety of 80s dance moves type of thing. They just play a video game from 1999 that these guys love and are jubilant about, and then it ends.
And we should have checked the time on that song. I assume it was his signature song in the movie. I forget what it's called, but oh, I think I want to know ya. Okay. Which is, I think, pretty long.
Nice.
Again,
I'm
thinking that's at least 5 minutes. So
yeah, I mean, if Raspberry Beret, Dove's Cry is probably like 6. Like Prince was known for pushing the boundaries, so I'm sure his side projects and disciples would have done similar things.
Yeah, and so in the middle of that song, he looks over it, and Shoto has like a little bit of, he's foaming at the mouth because he's starting to get lockjaw, and his eyes rolling back in his head involuntarily. But
right. He's just been stomping on the top right button on the floor, not on the rhythm for the past 30 seconds, and he hasn't noticed. But yeah, I mean, I guess he's just thinking about, what a movie scene would be. And I guess there are people who would enjoy seeing that as a movie scene, even though we had him doing, dance moves as an avatar in the last movie. He danced to Staying Alive, which I guess was far enough from the 80s as DDR from 1999 was as well.
Oh, yeah, true. What is this about? Why? We put the top up on our little red Corvette convertible just in time, right before big fat droplets of purple rain began to fall, creating a strange syncopated rhythm as they drummed against the car's roof and hood and on the asphalt road ahead as we continued to speed down it. Why? What? Just to say purple rain?
Just to say purple rain, yeah.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to see that I was not missing something.
Purple Rain, a pretty straightforward rhythm, not necessarily syncopated. It's a slow dance song.
Very slow dance song, and I've often heard it compared to chord-wise, it's like a country song.
Huh.
I think it's, just that descending from the tonic kind of country song. But it's not a fast song.
When Doves Cry, kind of syncopated, but not right now. He's got his things mixed up. The Purple Rain though gives way to Purple Lightning. Which is lightning becomes a big signifier in these next couple chapters that something dramatic is happening.
That's very subtle, yeah.
Yeah. But he also drops some great vocabulary here. This is Wade, again, talking, the dumbest, most basic guy in the universe. Long tines of purple lightning descended from the sky to strike the desert sand, burning and melting it into strange pillared formations of purple fulgurite. So he's up on his mineral formations. And then they later arrive at a place that he says 6 of the spires were wrapped in bands of blue neon, while the much larger 7th spire in the center was topped with a golden chhatri, Chhtri. And that's sort of like a dome-shaped pavilion from Indian architecture.
I took these moments, I had the exact same notes, that he's gone a little Tysian for just like one word.
Yeah.
Because his writing is truly second grade level, second grade level writing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, just a word I've never heard of.
Either one. Yeah.
Or what was it? Fulgurite?
Fulgurite. I mean, I don't know if that's like a hoodoo, like you'd see at Bryce Canyon, or it looks like sort of coral above ground. It looks like a lightning strike, like a fractal kind of.
Okay. He just pokes those in there, completely unearned. Very, very strange. If it had been a chapter of fashioning rat bones into some sort of weapon, I'd be all for it. But this is just out of place.
God, I miss Jim Tice.
God, so much, so much.
See, and if this book was cool, I guess, yeah. If this book was cool, if I were a billionaire, I would do things differently too. But like, if he had some sort of like nod to like the forgotten work of Jim Tice, who was maligned in his day, but like that sort of thing. If he made an appearance, that would have been just amazing, and it would have been a true geek reference, as opposed to one of the top 5 most popular recording artists of all time.
That's true. He could have shown up here had he been cool. He is not. I don't recall. This line caused me to rethink everything. She flipped it over, revealing a love symbol-shaped cavity in the back of its body, just like the one in the cockpit of her UFO. I confess, I do not remember their UFO.
Wait. Who had a cockpit in what? Who? H flipped a love-shaped... Is that a sword? Or a guitar?
It's the guitar, I guess.
Read it again.
Flips over the guitar. She flipped it over, revealing a love symbol-shaped cavity in the back of its body, just like the one in the cockpit of our UFO.
Is he referring to their space ark, the Vonnegut?
Well, that comes up in a little bit, very stupidly and clumsily. But I don't know. I'm thinking, did they get in a UFO on the Prince planet and I just don't remember it?
Man. Well, the fact that we both can't remember it. Okay. I'm willing to put it on the author rather than our attention spans.
Because UFO, no, their space ark is their space ark,
right?
And it has just the perfect amount of servers on it.
Remember when we started reading this book? That was Thanksgiving. Remember that? That was man. It was not 5 degrees. Like everything was different. What a simpler time.
Just to remind everyone, I think we've reminded in just about every episode that they're currently building a space ark up in space, like above the city. I think people are flying up back and forth to it with equipment to build it. Uh-huh. That's currently happening. I don't know whether you can see it. I don't know how far up into the atmosphere it is, but there is a space ark currently being built under the direction of Wade, the guy wearing a purple beret.
I assume it rotates, in like a satellite, so you can just be like, you get a notification on your phone, like the ISS. It's like, it's going to pass by. Let's see if we can see it in the sky in 3 minutes. Oh, there's the space ark. Like, and the guy who's the like sort of burly guy with the heart of gold, who's like, trucking the space embryos up there. Like his kids sort of like wave at him as he's like, you can look up at the sky in 3 minutes. You can wave to daddy. Yep. I'm unloading the space embryos.
By the way, Big Chick.
Yeah.
Was a very common sight. I've run into Big Chick. I believe I've met him a few times.
Oh, wow.
He's just was a, Prince obviously chose him because of he had a distinctive look, like a big beard. And
yeah, he could have been.
You look him up, you probably recognize him from, Prince back in the day.
Yeah, he could have been a local wrestling guy or something too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but he was a gregarious fella. You could see him around town and say hi to him. Yeah.
Did you ever turn your ear toward him and say, "What?"
I did, and he would laugh and let me in. Yeah.
Bridget gives someone a perplexed glance when you do that.
That's that was a gag in the movie. I believe Morris Day's joke, right?
Okay.
He says, the password, what's the password? And he says, what? He goes, what's the password?
Oh my God.
And it's like a, who's on first thing, but only much dumber. but I don't believe that Big Chick had anything to do with it. So, but I guess he was in on the joke. Who cares?
Again, don't know, boners.
Yes, right. Sorry.
But so yeah, they get out of the car and they see the Chatri. Shoto says, "So I take it this is the arena," and it's just another thing that sort of happens in a lot of the movies we do. And of course, you use this as a device to save time and tell stories. But it's like you didn't explain anything about this plan or what's going to happen on the lengthy drive over here or the first drive as we did all this thing. Because H says, open up this item's description right now. You need to memorize all the special attack licks and power chords. It's like, I could have done that in the back seat as we, I would have had to ask you guys to tamp down on the singing along to the chorus of Little Red Corvette. But I really could have done this while you walked into the car and into the club and played DDR.
Well, she does get the dig in again on Shoto. What about you, living correct? Do you play any musical instruments? I mean, other than the kazoo? Like, hey man, we're all in this together.
Right, yes.
We're trying not to die. Living correct.
Yeah. He easily could have mastered all sorts of instruments. He's, what instruments, as the resident ninja fanatic, what would be Klein's interpretation? He would have to play like that, I don't know. What is the stereotypical instrument he would be playing? I'm asking.
It's
the taiko drum or like.
Yes, yeah. There you go. Yeah. Da 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 da. Whatever plays that.
Yeah. Whoa! Some snow just fell off my roof. Anyway, that's all I have for chapter 22.
Likewise, chapter 23. There's some chuckling here right away.
Yep.
It says, nice working with you. And this is one that it irritated me enough that I looked it up. Nice working with you, Dr. Venkman. This always used to make me chuckle, but now it hit too close to home. That used to make him chuckle?
Yeah, it had the same effect as a Henry Hoover vacuum cleaner in the Mister.
I guess so. And that's just a line from Ghostbusters?
Well, yeah, I knew Dr. Venkman. I assume they say that when they're facing what they assume is some sort of thing they're all going to die from.
Correct, yeah. But it always used to make him chuckle. So he's one of those guys, there's a lot of guys my age who, will quote Caddyshack, and just then another guy will just kind of pick it up. It always irritates me.
Yes.
Like, are we still doing this? That's not a good movie.
Yeah.
There's no reason to keep living that moment. Come on.
Think how quickly, the catchphrases of our lives have you've gotten soured on, whether it's "yeah, baby" or "was up" or anything from a beer commercial. Like just the shelf life, maybe 3 weeks before you start to just be like, okay.
Come on, you're still not saying "my wife."
There we go. Got a chuckle out of me
every time. I chuckle every time.
Well, they do post chuckle, go inside into the arena. And this is where some of the just worst storytelling possible takes place as they get introduced to the various princes. We get this first description. Standing motionless inside, each of them was a different incarnation of his royal badness. Each one had a different hairstyle and outfit, apparently representing different stylistic phases of Prince's career. So let me just hit the rewind button. They've just arrived on the planet. Shoto and I exchange confused looks. H continued, the 7 are a team of different NPC incarnations of the Purple One, each from a different stage of his career. So just he's even saying apparently representing us. H has got to be like, it's not apparent. It's explicitly what I told you. And it's explicit to anyone who's looking at it.
It's what is that? Apparently, this comes up a number of times where he's describing something, and apparently that's what they were. Like, no, you're currently describing it. That is what it is.
Yes.
Especially in this case when you've been told it 3 seconds ago. But yeah, even it's just the writing is so bad.
Right. It's like
he
looking
walked up to what was apparently a saguaro cactus. Well, was it? What was it?
I stared at Mount Rushmore, where it was apparently depicted 4 different U.S. presidents.
Yeah, this is just colossally bad, this upcoming section. Mm-hmm. It is also pointless in a way that it wasn't clear that he had to do this, right? This isn't like, oh boy, here we are. It just sort of starts and then slogs through each prince, character. And you kind of have to, in your own mind, like, do I remember that prince? I mean, sort of. I don't know. Is this a thing that his fans want a super deep dive into Prince?
That's what sort of strikes me as odd about this whole thing, is that it's not, it's out of Klein's wheelhouse, unless he is a big super Prince fan.
Yeah, it seems like more that he'd go to the Evil Dead planet or something. And
right. Yep.
Have to,
just the Bruce Campbell planet would be.
Right. There you go. Yeah. But Prince seems an odd thing to drill down on, where you're like, then he had his 2 gun microphones. Like, oh, I guess. Yeah, now that I think of it, I guess Prince had it. But is anyone excited by this?
Prince's death got a big reaction from a lot of people, and I think there are people who are deeply into it. They don't strike me as Ready Player 2 readers, however. They strike me as Prince fans who like that, and would probably be maybe insulted or condescended to by the shallowness of this exchange.
Yeah, I don't get it, and this. There's one moment that's a very deep dive. It says, H yells at them, don't look directly in their eyes. I heard H shout at us. Huh, so he heard it. Went, okay. Never look in any of their eyes, okay? And this was a thing that Prince was known for. He did not like people to look him in the eyes, and people who worked at his place knew that, and they would get fired. And then the manager would have to hire them back secretly later. But he'd make a show of firing them because he looked Prince in the eye. So why that's in the book, though? It just seems like that's a deep one.
Yeah, just another Easter egg for people.
Yeah, people don't know that.
But it also doesn't matter. It doesn't impact the what happens in this arena.
Here's a little inside baseball thing that the manager of Prince's studio told me that. People were very concerned when they passed him because if you said hey Prince, he didn't like to be called that, especially as he was changing to a glyph. So you'd get fired if you called him Prince, and if you looked at him. So people would, as they passed him in the halls, they would walk as far as they could on the other side of the wall with their heads down, looking at the other wall, and they'd go, "Hey man." Because if you didn't say something to him, you'd get fired.
That is high wire act.
Yeah, so they jokingly referred to his name was Hey Man, because that's the only thing you could say to him.
That's incredible.
Without getting fired. And he would do that he would quietly walk up to this manager and have a folded sheet of paper, and he'd open it up. He'd sigh and he'd open it up, and it was like, fire that guy in the red shirt.
It must have been an HR nightmare as he's walking around in the assless chaps which are depicted, and then some guy who's been a solid PA or recording engineer for the past 15 years forgets to look at the right angle of the wall and he gets fired.
Right, and then at the same time he'd say, by the way, I want to play a set tonight here, a secret pop-up concert, so go downtown and just tell everyone in the clubs to come here and have food and drinks and stuff.
God.
Tonight, hours from now. So
right.
He'd sigh and go, well, honey, I'm not coming home.
Something that if you're the fan who stumbles across it, you think it's the coolest thing in the world that Prince is doing that sort of unannounced thing. If you're the workers who have to put it on, it's just kill me now. Right. Can I at least go work for Celine Dion or something?
Yes, and I assume my tub of lemon chiffon is already... Yes, that's already filled for you. You're set to go there. Anyway, all right.
Yeah. But so this is what you object to, like, the prose in these books more than I do, I think, because I just sort of read over and I'm like, well, I understand what he's supposed to be saying. This is the one that just knocked me back on my heels from how bad this was, because this is at its heart an action sequence, but there is no sense of what is actually happening. There is a vague sense of what we understand is supposed to be happening, but at no point in time do we know where our characters are in relation to anybody, what they are doing, what the stakes are. He describes the princes, and it reminds me not to be too Kleinian, but every time you start a stage of Mega Man, the boss sort of pops up and it does it flexes and shows you what its abilities are. And he describes all 7 princes like that, but it's supposed to be some sort of action sequence. Like he says, after Purple Rain Prince and his 2 attack doves finished their bombing run, Cloud Suit Prince descended. This incarnation wore a sky blue suit covered in white clouds, and he apparently, there we go again, had the ability to turn his suit invisible and phase shift, rendering immune to our attacks. There have been no attacks. There have been no attacks described. It's not like I raised up my guitar and shot blasts of sonic funk at the prince, but it didn't work. You're led to believe that attacks are happening and that he is now immune to them based on his apparent abilities.
Yeah, this is the same thing. Like, so did that happen in the past? Is it happening now? What are we picturing? And why is every incarnation of Prince, he makes a point of, seemed especially pissed off at me?
Yep.
But he says that about everyone. Like, this one was really angry.
It's the equivalent of Kira's favorite things.
Yeah, what about? What's happening? What's he doing?
Well, it gives you one. Cloud Suit Prince seemed especially pissed off at me and focused all his vocal attacks on my avatar. It took me a few minutes to figure out why. It was his cloud guitar I was holding, and he wanted it back. Each rapid-fire chord he strummed on his Mad Cat fired another sonic blast down at me like a gunfighter, fanning the barrel of his 6-shooter. So no description of what effects the attacks do or what the heroes are doing to mitigate it, dodging it. It's happening for a few minutes, though, like what H and the other guy are doing as he's being attacked by the sonic blasts. It's just terrible.
And H referred to the next prince in the attack conga line as "Get Off, Prince." When did she do that?
Yeah.
Is she currently doing it? Or is your sonic funk attack, you can't hear it because of that? I don't know.
And like, to what end? She says, what was the name of it? What did H refer to?
Get Off, Prince?
Oh, so like he goes to the front of the conga line because they're doing, Bruce Lee bad guys and it's just attacking one by one, evidently. And she goes, "That's Get Off, Prince." Like, is that what she said?
I guess, yeah.
I mean, she doesn't say, "That's Cloud Suit Prince." Don't attack him when he turns invisible because it won't work. It's just that's apparent. So
here's what happens to the next one. Here we get a clearer picture of how this works. So the next one comes, and here's what happens. I thought I was hallucinating when the next prince descended on us. So I guess princes are descending on them somehow.
Okay.
H referred to him as Gemini. Shoto called him Party Man. My image recognition software's best guess was Bat Dance Prince. To me, he looked like the villain Two-Face, except that he was Batman on the left half and the green-haired Joker on his right half. So this creature's descending on them. Mm-hmm. H goes, Gemini. Shoto goes, Party Man. But he's looking at his software and it's saying Bat Dance Prince.
But to him, it looked like Two-Face. It's first grade level, smashing the army men together. But like, if H said Gemini, I mean, if you just said, she goes Gemini and points at him, as in a bad movie, you'd be like Godzilla. But then Shoto goes Party Man. It seems like that would be like a record scratch moment where you just turn to and be like, what? Like, even the prince is like, where is this coming from? I don't.
Shoto, just stop talking.
Right, you demonstrated
your SOS.
Remarkable ability, yes, to get everything wrong in this chapter.
But then the next guy, there are bombs happening. Yeah, he hurled joke bombs from one hand and batarangs from the other. Then he swooped back up and away to dodge our counterattacks. So while they're saying this, they're counterattacking. Just have that in.
Yep.
While they're saying party man, they're also counterattacking.
Yeah, I don't know what Shoto's counterattacking with, but he is saying party man.
Yeah. The next one comes down, and this is where he kind of loses it. I'm not sure of the correct name for the next incarnation to attack, but I mentally nicknamed him Microphone Gun Prince. So H, and he's not saying like, little help here? You're not going to shout the name of this guy? He just is on his own to mentally nickname him Microphone Gun Prince.
And Shoto is like the sort of thing where like at a party, if like someone's super stoned and you say something that's like, and you spend the next half hour being like, why did I say that? That was so stupid. Party man. Like everyone thinks I'm an idiot. So Shoto's just in his own little world right now in the corner, like not going to talk for a while.
Guy. Oh, God, I did it again.
Did I say that out loud or did I think that?
Damn it.
But yeah, so it honestly, like my brother would draw these things. Like I had one on my wall that was Dino Death. That was like a superhero that he drew, just the head with the legs sticking out of the head and then the arms coming out of the head, that type of thing. I was just on my wall growing up because I was so charmed by how juvenile it was. But it's like I mentally nicknamed Microphone Gun Prince. Isn't your life in danger if any of this goes awry? Like it just if Microphone Gun Prince unleashes his sonic funk, that it's the end of the world.
Right.
Were the guys in like the trenches in World War I, like the protagonists of All Quiet on the Western Front, like I mentally nicknamed him the Mustache Hun, like because he had a mustache. Like, please, just the stakes.
Yes.
Make them live up to them for just 10 seconds at some point in time.
But apparently, the rapid fire hails of sonic funk waves, they don't have any effect, right?
I mean, we're led to believe that they are draining your hit points at some point in time because I think we've been told that there are hit points and there are results of this. But, to what effect, we have no idea.
All right. Next Prince comes.
Okay, yes. I think these are note for note what I had because they are just like, they are the dumbest things in the book so far.
The next incarnation scared the living crap out of me. What? Why?
I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll learn. He's about to tell us.
Third Eye Prince had a giant round afro and a pair of sunglasses with 3 lenses. The third lens was centered above the bottom 2. Yeah, we figured it wasn't like on the side of the glass.
Sure, yeah. It's just like sort of like to the left of the left eye, connected to it like a cell that's dividing.
But now picture this, what it did. It fired a devastating beam of sonic enlightenment. Okay. What is that?
I need a flow chart to parse it from sonic funk to how it's funking them up, whether only the funk funks them up or the sonic enlightenment also will funk you up. It's very bad storytelling.
Which incinerated everything in its path.
Okay.
Well, you are in its path, correct?
Well, that's why he has scared the living crap out of him, Mike.
So they're incinerated?
I just wrote, what are you doing during all of this? There's not even like I rolled behind a refrigerator or something that I knew would protect me. Like it is observing a cutscene from the perspective. It happens, in Zelda too. The boss comes out and does his thing, and then you start fighting him. But that's all this is, back to back.
And then it just ends, and it says after Third Eye Prince finished his. That comes concurrently after he incinerated everything in his path. So you're dead. You're incinerated.
Right. Yeah. Everything that would have provided cover is gone. It's, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's 2 pages of probably the worst descriptions we've had so far.
All right. Should we keep running through the princes?
I think so. That's the last note I have about a specific prince. What comes next? I had him. My next note was when he starts to attack, actually.
Well, the next prince is is wearing a mesh mask.
Oh, okay. So what is
what would you shout out?
I would say, it's 1999 era Prince, or it's
mesh mask Prince.
Okay.
Just suddenly realize to yourself that you're making a mental note to call him mesh mask Prince.
Okay, I'm going to check in my HUD to see if that's accurate later, just to make sure.
Sure. Apparently unarmed.
Apparently, got it.
He continued to hover above us, silent and motionless.
Okay.
At least from what I could see through his mask. He
what?
He had an impassive expression on his face, at least from what I could see of it through his mask.
My God. That's like the arcade. It was filled with pinball machines from what little I could see. Yeah. So he looks at his face. It's mesh, so you can see through it. He sees his facial expression, which is apparently passive from what little he could see through it. Do I have that correct?
You have that correct.
What would you do if I was like, I've written another book. I just, I respect your opinion as a, creative person, but also as a friend. I want you to take a first pass at it. It would be a deep honor if you gave me your notes. What would you do if this was the 2 pages that you read of it?
Would
you like call Lauren and be like, I think we may need to have a talk, or like,
I think I'd fake a funeral and leave town. Or I don't know. I don't know.
You couldn't deliver any sort of, we could never speak again.
Yeah.
You probably write a letter being like, take away his car keys. He's clearly not in a cognitive state of functioning.
Right. Yeah. But this continues. Yeah, it just goes on and on. I don't have a lot of other notes about the Prince thing. We do get the, it's now Morris Day and the Time spring into action.
Yep.
And they sing a song. Oh, this is where he starts whacking again, or walk.
Yep. He unleashed his walk attack, which involved him making a deafening bird-like ha-ha-ha, laughing/shrieking sound. So why is it not his ha-ha-hawk attack? It's his walk attack. Is it like Hawks in Over the Top, where 2 characters say it differently the whole time?
Oh, yeah, maybe that's it. That would finally be something interesting.
Like Morris Day says walk, but Robert Loggia says, well, ha-ha-hawk.
So he's a fearsome opponent, but what made Morris an even more fearsome opponent was his right-hand man, Jerome, the Mirror Man Benton. Do you remember that from...
No, boners. We've been clear about this.
But even in his videos and things, that was his shtick. It was like the James Brown shtick, only it was with a mirror.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, he'd just come out in the middle of a song, and then he'd groom himself.
It's a tremendous shtick. Like, I'm not saying that ironically. It's a very cool thing that someone did.
Yeah, and Jerome, so he would dance. He would come out sort of straight man, and then they'd kick into a little funky section, and then Jerome would dance with the mirror, and it was a cool bit of theater.
Yeah,
but that's why he's fearsome, because he has Jerome the Mirror Man Benton.
So Jerome the Mirror Man Benton created a dozen mirror image clones of Morris. Each of them began to unleash their own walk attack. Then each of the band members could also fire a deadly blast of sonic energy. So we have sonic energy, sonic funk, and sonic enlightenment all ping-ponging around this arena directly from their own mouths just by shouting the word yow over and over again. So we've got guys going yow, we've got guys going walk, we've got guys going wah-ha-ha-hawk, and so I think you'll agree with this next sentence. Morris Day and the Time were magnificent to behold. Truly. The Notre Dame, the sunset over the Grand Canyon, like just both as magnificent as these guys shouting things.
Yeah, and it says each of the band members could also fire a deadly blast of sonic energy. So deadly means kills you.
Right.
That it is deadly. So who's dead?
Nobody.
Okay.
There's not even NPCs that you could just, are caught as the cannon fodder or anything. They're the ones incinerated or killed by the sonic funk. But nope, all the princes are still just sort of hanging around, etc.
And then Prince summons the revolution, and I don't know.
He summons the new power or microphone gun. Prince summoned the new power generation. There were a bunch of them They were all armed to the teeth with every kind of instrument. So just the decline abundance of detail we've all come to know and love.
And this is I think this is a relatively new thing. This is the main action, as far as I can tell, but it's in parentheses.
Okay.
So this is what is happening. Like, this is the end result is they want to, I guess, kill all the princes.
Yep.
But in parentheses, Purple Rain Prince somehow used his mirror shades to shatter Jerome's mirror, so he was no longer able to use it to make Morris clones. And that was the beginning of the end, I think. So the main action of the story gets a parentheses and an I think.
And then is the next sentence the big dog after that?
Yeah, I don't have it there.
That was the beginning of the end, I think. I don't know exactly what happened next or how it all went down. But when the dust settled, all 7 members of the Time had been killed, including Morris Day and all his mirror images. And that is I couldn't draw it in the margin, but that's when my head exploded like the Scanners guy. So he sets up all this stuff. He doesn't set it up well, but at least, there's some sort of confrontation. Janet Jackson has entered with the Rhythm Nation dancers. Third Eye Girl, which his HUD informs him is all caps, has entered, even though it's written in all caps there, so you wouldn't really need to have it inform you of that. But then the way he pulls this off, this deft sort of house of cards, I don't know exactly what happened next or how it all went down.
Ugh.
It's not even like the sonic funk knocked me unconscious and when I woke up, it's just, and then yada, yada, yada. I've got some more book to write. I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Yeah, I mentioned all the princes. I mentioned the members of Morris Day and the Time. Goodbye.
Yes. You know what I'm doing here. We all know why we're here. Yeah. It is like, it's this small talk with, the escort type of thing. Like, no. Like, we know what we're here for. Like, let's keep moving.
But in this vast, vast field of incredible dumbness, this paragraph struck me as this has to take the cake of dumbness. Then the cloud guitar, which had been rapidly overheating in my hands while I was mentally patting myself on the back, M-, finally exploded, causing me to take several hundred more points of damage. My health bar began to flash bright red. My avatar was near death. By some cruel twist of fate, I happened to have exactly 7 hit points remaining. That's just a lot of dumb and just stupid cliches, bad action, mentally patting himself on the back.
Well, yeah, you mentally assign yourself a cool nickname and then you mentally pat yourself on the back. What's the cruel twist of fate, though?
7 points left.
Is that a cruel twist of fate? It would have been
it's just he heard that word in a book. He heard that phrase in a book.
It'd be a cruel twist of fate if he had 7 points and then he took 8. Right? They won.
Yes.
They won the battle and are going to get the thing. So there's really no cruel twist of fate.
No.
It's a Alanis Morissette level irony, I guess.
I guess so. I guess it would have been a cruel twist of fate if Sorrento had shown up at that point and said, boo. Maybe that would be a cruel twist of fate. I don't know.
Well, I thought, over the many years, we've had a lot of fun with this guy, but I thought it was, when you were saying the dumbest thing, I thought you were going to mention when Shoto's last words before he dies are quoting the lyrics to the Spin Doctors.
Oh, yes.
I tip my hat at that point in time.
And the sign is laughing. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's it's like the weasels in Roger Rabbit or something. They start laughing themselves to death.
Wait. So as she sang, this is something that I just was confused about in the storytelling. Sorry, I just got the note here. As she sang, the 2 incarnations of Prince joined in. Somehow their collective voices instantly resurrected the other 5 princes, and they all joined too.
Mm.
That was just previous. It's just the somehow.
Sure, yeah, right.
This
goes against every rule we've been taught about this place. This flies in the face of everything.
Anyway, that's all I have about the Prince battle.
Apparently, they've been resurrected. Yeah, there's no...
From what little I could see.
Right. There's no telling what has happened, whether your goal was to leave these 2, I guess, friendly princes around and then sing the lyrics to 7 because you've been told it's like the music video for 7. But But this is where he really brings it all home. He's up in the air. He's pulled a 1080 on his snowboard. Will he stick the landing? I felt no sense of victory because I had no idea what had just happened. Sounds about right, man. That's welcome aboard. Welcome to how the audience is feeling.
Wow. Yes. And this is where he's going to turn into Kira again or something?
Yeah, he turns into Kira one more time. And he sees Ogden surprised her with a birthday party performance from Prince. And like you see Halliday sitting in the back corner. He's like, sort of the Joaquin Phoenix Joker type of guy, just sort of like, leering at her, slighted and jilted.
Right. Before we leave this chapter, I nominate this for the worst writing of all time, which is it's saying something considering I just read the worst writing of all time.
Yes.
For all intents and purposes, the last two shards were located in the depths of hell, set into the crown of Satan himself. I started to laugh. It was just a rapid-fire giggle at first, but then I couldn't stop, and it quickly grew into the loud, uncontrolled laughter of a sane soul pushed to the brink of madness by cruel chance just before fate drop-kicked them over the edge of a cliff. Holy God, that is awful.
Firm settle down to that passage.
Wow. That's him. Is that him attempting something? I think it is. I think he's trying to really lay it on.
I think so. Yeah, but he's sort of like he's doing we're watching the movie right now. Vincent Price in The Last Man on Earth, the chuckling into hysterical laughing into sobbing laugh.
I guess that's what it is.
But yeah, the pushed to the brink of madness by cruel chance just before fate drop kicked them over the edge of a cliff. Yeah, I don't know. It could be a quote from like Beverly Hills Cop 2 or something. Who knows? If it's his own work though, that's why he sticks to just sentences that aren't longer than 6 words.
Oh, please say it's not a reference.
It can't be, right?
No, I mean it seems like him trying to do purple prose.
Yep. Yeah.
You didn't think I was capable of this kind of stuff. But yeah, this could obviously be nominated for, the worst writing. Not the Ernest Hemingway because it's too purple for that. But, just those worst sentences, worst opening sentences ever competitions. This
and they'd all be from books that are like, this was written by a, we found it in someone's room when they died after a, career of, 45 years in the tuna can factory, where it's like, well, at least this guy had an artistic outlet. But of course, this is not an author that we've ever heard of, let alone a best-selling author.
Right. And that's all I have for 23.
Let me just do 2 more points. First of all, we are told that by Faisal that Shoto's pregnant wife Kiki is standing vigil beside his spider coffin at his home in Hokkaido. So just to drill that home, as Shoto was gleefully exclaiming DDR, he does have he is about to bring a child into the world. And then so they get told that the last shard in the crown of Satan himself, depths of hell, etc., is somewhere in Middle Earth. And when H hears those words, she inhales sharply. Are you telling me I have to spend the last hour of my life surrounded by a bunch of fucking hobbits, Z? I shook my head. All the hobbit NPCs live on Arda 3. I pointed to the name etched into the 5th shard. Morgoth only resided on Arda during the first stage of Middle Earth, which means we need to teleport to Arda 1. And that planet is a completely hobbit-free zone. No hobbits, she said? Seriously? No hobbits, I replied. Just elves, humans, and dwarves. Hang on, I'm getting it's from Shoto's pregnant wife, Kiki. It says, can this wait? But then it continues. They ignore her thing. And then H says, let me guess. They're all white, right? White elves, white men, and white dwarves. I bet everyone we encounter on this Tolkien planet is going to be white, right? Except, of course, for the bad guys. The black-skinned the black-skinned orcs. Saruman the White was a bad guy, I replied, losing my temper. We don't have time for literary criticism right now, H. Turns to camera. Valid as it may be, okay? So they just felt he just needed to wedge that in there after the as the clock continues to tick. Some of the I feel like that's something that's like a pretty well trod meme about the Tolkien stuff too. Is that you do have that divide, but
yes,
one of the movies sure. It was, but that's well trod from the internet of 12 years ago that he's having the characters shout about right now.
Was this the moment that caused our friend David to stop reading the book, do you think?
No. So, he wrote about page 280, which was during the Prince introductions. 282 was where he said, I don't know what happened next, and I can't explain it. And I thought that would have been a perfectly reasonable page to bail. But
yeah.
We're going to talk to him later, right? As a bonus,
as a bonus, we're going to figure out what caused our previously very enthusiastic Klein fan to hurl Ready Player 2 across the room and give up. Yeah. So we'll find out. That'll be an extra.
Okay. Well, they're off to Middle Earth.
Before that, do you want to take the challenge? Yes, it is real or fanfic, and it is Conor. In the dock, what is it? You're on trial?
On the hot seat, withstanding the blasts of sonic
enlightenment or
notes.
Funk?
Funk, I guess.
Okay. All right, real or fanfic, the premise is simple. The little sections that could either be real from the book, from the remaining slender few chapters of the book, or could be fanfic written usually by Patreon people.
Hell yeah.
Combination of the two, or all of one or the other. One never knows. Those scenarios have come up, all of them.
Yeah. I'm 50 pages to go, so the pickings are slim, but I also have no idea what to expect in the final chapters. So,
do you have your Dixon Ticonderoga pencil at the ready?
I'm going to take notes in the URL bar of my browser.
Okay, here we go. This is number 1. A split second later, Evelyn, her deceased grandmother's Oasis avatar, appeared in front of her. She'd used a Ravatar scan and made before any signs of her illness had appeared, so she looked just like her real-world self, Samantha's mother's mother, Evelyn Opal Cook. Grandma? Artie whispered in a very shaky voice. Sam, she replied, is that you? Apparently her grandma was the only person who could get away with calling her that because she nodded. And then they ran into each other's arms. I turned away to give them some privacy, but found myself staring back at Og and Kira, who were still making out a few feet away.
God!
I walked to the opposite side of the shrine to be alone with my thoughts.
It's good. Making out a bridge too far, I'm going to say fanfic. Although I was leaning towards real before that.
Okay. Fanfic. All right, number 2. Og let out an angry cry of rage as his avatar took flight again. He rocketed toward Anorak like an ICBM, and the two of them collided in another explosion of light and energy. From that moment on, Og and Anorak were locked in a knockdown, drag-out, man versus machine fight to the death that seemed like it might go on forever. It was like Yoda versus Palpatine, Gandalf versus Saruman, and Neo versus Agent Smith, all rolled into one epic clash of the Titans.
Fanfic.
Okay.
It was
number 3.
Who were the last? It was Yoda versus Palpatine.
Yoda, Palpatine, Gandalf, Saruman, Neo, Agent Smith.
Clearly fanfic because it didn't mention Sword Art Online.
Yeah, there you go. All right, number 3. It was too late to try again, Halliday explained. She was dead. Game over, man. He paused. At least out there, but in here, I could do it over again. I could recreate her exactly as she was. And I could apologize, and she could forgive me, and maybe, I don't know, maybe we could have a future together. But if you wanted Kira to be with you, why not write yourself as the hero? Why put in her head all these memories of Og, I asked. He looked offended at the suggestion. Because that wouldn't be real, he said.
Wow. I mean, if it's fanfic, they went subtle, but so I'm going to say real.
Okay.
No references or tropes, Klein tropes.
On to number 4. H. Artemis and I studied the 2 Ogden Morrows standing before us. Even knowing it was coming, the sight was still surreal. Visually, they were identical in every way. The same torn three-piece suit and tie, the same disheveled gray hair, the same gaunt and weary look in his eyes, and the same bloodied and battered body from Sorrento's encouragement. I tried to warn you nothing good would come of seeking the shard, said Og number 1. I appreciate the rescue, truly I do, but it doesn't matter. Anorak has already won. There's nothing more we can do now. A sly smile passed over my face. That's where you're wrong, Og, I said, as I pulled out the Low's 5 shards. Hard-won prize, sorry. As I pulled out the Low 5's hard-won prize. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
The Dork Slayer. Both Ogs did a double take. Where did you get that? Exclaimed Og number 2. That's not important, Artemis replied. What matters now is for one of you to convince us you're the real Og. But before we could start asking the questions we had planned, Og number 2 stepped forward.
I like the setup of the which one of us is the real. He's the real one. No, he's this. But the Dork Slayer, I thought did they already get that? I thought he got that, not the Low 5. Anyway, I'm saying fanfic.
Okay. All right, last one. Number 5. Let's see. Here it is. The stacked enclosures and shielded wires with screw terminal connectors resembled the video game Fallout. Bees were going in and out of the holes in the bottom enclosure. Fortunately, there was not a honey beast in sight. Sorry, smeared ink there. But then again, there wouldn't be. It's all peer-to-peer, I said, realizing as I said it, a duplicate way for the real world to connect. Dad didn't want you guys to know about it. He was worried you'd find a way to shut it down, even though I told him you used to be cool and you weren't really like Sorrento at all. I didn't want to think about that. The real-life sun was making my head feel like my entire inventory of magical swords were stabbing through it. My dad gives me priority on the gateway, Lowe said, in case of emergency. But with Oasis down, there is no use for the gateway now. My head was mush. I worried it would be mush forever. So what do we do?
Wait, so is this implying that Lowe is someone's daughter?
Yes.
Oh, boy. That's possible. But the Fallout? I'd say fanfic. But I deeply fear that that's going to be some sort of twist.
All right. Well, it's good to see you stumble in front of the full crowd here.
How badly?
Well, you got 2 out of 5.
Okay.
Correct.
Jeez.
The first one you called fanfic with Evelyn's grandma, Evelyn Opal Cook.
Yeah.
That is real as hell.
Og and Kira are making out?
Yes, indeed they are.
Aren't they like 65?
Well, maybe it's the young version. I don't know.
Oh, my God. All right. So,
Yeah. Okay. The second one, which this was submitted by Taylor. This is, you said fanfic. Real as hell. Gandalf versus Saruman, Yoda versus Palpatine, Neo versus Agent Smith, all rolled into one epic clash of the Titans.
God damn it. Well, so that's the climactic moment of the book that he just drops those 3 things. That is trash.
It is garbage. Utter garbage. The third one, which was, let's see. Why didn't you make Kira different if you were going to make Kira? You said real. That was fanfic. It was subtle.
Yeah, it was subtle. Who wrote that one?
Why.
Do you know?
That one was unknown. I just got it in a PDF with no attribution.
Oh, so. Well done. Sorry, people, I didn't put any names on them.
Yeah. Okay, next one. You said fanfic. Was indeed fanfic by Curtis.
Which one was that?
That's the 2 Ogden Morrows.
Okay. Well, it's clever. I like that. That doesn't seem beneath Klein.
No, I thought it was pretty good too. So that was Curtis. Thank you. The next one you labeled correctly as fanfic with Fallout, which I didn't know what that was. So, Honey Beast.
That was the tip off. Without that, Fallout is like a game from Xbox On. It's like you've probably seen its icon. It's like anyway.
Okay, wait. That was fanfic by Marie.
Okay.
so I got Fallout was the giveaway because I thought the rest of it was kind of subtle.
The rest was subtle. But and it's not like Fallout should be a giveaway because they're playing DDR and Sword Art Online, but still.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait. So which ones? I thought I got 3
out of 5. No, you. The first
I missed
3
the
you
making
got wrong.
out. I missed the. Wait, what was 3?
Well, 3 you said was real, but that was fanfic by an unknown person.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So the first 3 you got wrong.
Got it.
The last 2 you correctly identified as fanfic.
Oh, very clever.
Yeah, so 40%. That brings the average down a bit, doesn't it?
It does. Well, hey, I mean, once again, it just hats off to everyone who writes them, because it's it's their wiliness that makes it so hard for us to guess.
Yeah, that's very hard. All right, let's go to Tolkien world.
Yep. So this got to be a treat for you as a fan. You were a fan of Tolkien before the movies or anything.
Yeah, but I didn't. I never read the Silmarillion. That's famously what people do: is they buy it and then they never read it. Our fellow writer-producer at Rift Tracks, Sean Thomason, recently read the Silmarillion, and it was so noteworthy that he sent a message to everyone. Hey, everyone, I read the Silmarillion.
Yeah, I mean, I copy on my parents' bookshelf that I'm sure my dad got in college that never cracked the spine of. Didn't ask Sean any questions about it because I assumed it would have just been, you're not gonna want to know what I've spent the past 3 months learning.
Yeah. I'm sure that I cracked it a few times. I'm sure it is. I think I have the Silmarillion in storage, but no, I never. I mean, it sat unread for many, many years. So yeah. We're going to do a deep dive into that. I actually don't have a lot of notes because of that, because it's just like, okay, here's a reference to the Silmarillion. Here's another reference to the Silmarillion.
Yeah, we got into real, like, just wiki dump territory here. And the first note I had was, I continued to scan my map of Arda, looking for the name Udun. I knew that once the name of Morgoth's fortress, because in the Fellowship of the Ring, when Gandalf faces off against the Balrog of Morgoth at the bridge of Khazad-dûm, he calls it the Flame of Udun, but I couldn't find any sign of it on the map, nor was there a label for its Sindarian equivalent, Autumno. And I just said, people were right to give nerds a hard time in the 70s. If you looked over someone's shoulder on the bus and saw that's what you were reading, it'd be like, I think, I'm gonna keep listening to The Who, thank you.
And he says here, after an unreadable thing about Arda 1, that went on, I think, Arda 1, 2, and 3, the planets. I'd never bothered to visit Arda 0 because it was impossible to complete any of the quests there unless you had already completed every single quest on Arda 1, Arda 2, mm-hmm. and Arda 3.
Got it. And understood. The artist. Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, this is just a lot of, oh, my God.
Yeah, I got another one. I pulled myself up into Shadowfax's saddle and moved him alongside H and Felleroff. I removed 2 magic swords I'd acquired on Arda 3. One was the Ithilinaur broadsword named Glamdring, wielded by Gandalf during the War of the Ring, and I equipped it in the scabbard on my back. The other was a 2-handed sword. I handed it to H. Hilt first. Here, you're going to need this. Anduril, the Flame of the West, reforged from the shards of Narsil. It's just like, all right, I guess. If this is making you smile to yourself at the recognition, this must be really enjoyable for you. But otherwise, it's just like, all right. Yeah, I assume it's as accurate as the street locations in Minneapolis that you already discussed.
Sure it is.
But hey, there's red lightning erupting over the distant hill, so we are once again informed that something important must be happening.
Giant drops of purple rain, sonic blasts of funk coming. So I think we had a little text back and forth over this. Could possibly be the dumbest moment in the book. They're riding Shadowfax and the other horse, which I guess he had in his thing. They were like little figurines, and you throw them on the ground and say a spell, and they turn into horses, and they're riding the horses. And he says, but they still raced through, around, and under the trees at such blinding speed that I kept imagining myself as a doomed stormtrooper on a speeder bike.
Yeah.
There's not enough F-bombs to write in enough margins in the world for that.
So just to properly set the stage, they're racing, there's Steed, Shadowfax, and the other one across the plains of Dornothian. Then they reach a forest of pines called Tar Nurfwin. They're on the Lord of the Rings planet, on the Lord of the Rings quest, riding horses from the Lord of the Rings, in places from the Lord of the Rings, with swords from the Lord of the Rings. And he kept imagining himself as a stormtrooper. I said that this would be the question, that if we ever, press junket for Ready Player 3, if we weasel our way into that, everyone gets one question, I would say. Hey, on the planet from the Lord of the Rings, riding the horse from the Lord of the Rings, with the sword from the Lord of the Rings, why were you imagining yourself as a stormtrooper? What is wrong with him?
This would be the, Arthur Two Sheds Johnson kind of thing, where
Yes.
you would not let him out of that.
Yes, exactly.
Can we please talk about Ready Player 3?
Yeah.
Certainly, Ready Player 3 is coming out. A Random House book. A stormtrooper, though? Why did you...
A slide pops up with a stormtrooper behind him. Take that down! Take that down, damn it. I said no questions about the stormtrooper scene on the Lord of the Rings planet. Is it just he can't help himself? Is it just he didn't read the previous sentence when he wrote that sentence?
I think he thinks, again, that he's doing a service to people. Like, maybe someone else would be thinking that. Like, whoa, if they're going that fast through trees, why didn't he put a stormtrooper reference in here? I don't know. It is truly the dumbest thing. It's infuriatingly dumb, too.
Yeah. First draft stuff, and in a forest of deep cut Lord of the Rings reference to drop something so basic about Star Wars. It's also pretty amazing. Just thinking of it now, he had no references to the most recent Star Wars movies either, right? Like, there's nothing from the things that I'm sure he was first in line to see, like the BB-8 or Snoke.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Is it just it's like the music that you just stop keeping up with music at a certain point where...
I guess so, but DDR and all that, the Sword Art Online.
What did the... it was Lorne Michaels said it about the cast members of SNL and about your favorite SNL cast is always the ones you watched when you were in, it was like junior in high school or something like that.
15 or 14 probably.
Yeah. And he said, and then everyone will just, go to the mattresses to defend that. And he's just like, that's just what it is. You just like this one because you were this age. And so maybe that's just he stopped on the Star Wars right where he was. And there's no, even though he watches them, of course, and obsesses over them, but mentioning them is...
Right,
is not something
beneath him. He's one of those, or maybe he just hates them. Maybe he's leaving negative Rotten Tomato reviews to Rian Johnson and complaining about the Rose character. Maybe he's a just pure original trilogy guy.
That could be.
That'd be amazing to learn.
But back to the planet here, we finally get, we've been obsessed with the amount of time he's been able to spend given his relatively young age, and he watches things and does quests and
to study
rearranges
everything.
Temporally he's a mess, but someone finally calls him out on it, because he hadn't read the Silmarillion or hadn't studied it and memorized it. I had research priorities. Like what? H asked, rolling her eyes. Watching Monty Python and the Holy Grail for the 200th time. So seems like she's not buying it either,
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, he did need to recite that movie word for word, so it was a good thing that was one of the ones he watched 200 times.
Yeah. No.
But he has a couple caveats for why he hasn't read it that aren't watching, Monty Python the 200th time. He never read it because it's not technically a novel, so I think that provokes a little snort laugh from the readers. But also, it just reminded him too much of Artemis, because she wanted him to read it, but then once they broke up, he could never open its cover because it reminded him too much of her. It was too painful. Yeah.
How long were they together as a couple?
A week.
Okay, because again, keep that in mind. Put a pin in that. Samantha found out I'd never finished reading the Silmarillion that week, I said, and she gave me an enormous amount of shit about it. So was that during those super loud lovemaking sessions that echoed off the hills of Rivendell, which was a recreation of the Peter Jackson film that Og had made in the mountains?
It was. Now that you mentioned that, yeah, that was the replica of Rivendell he built for her. But yeah, that could have been. Maybe that was tied into the to all the noise they were making, where she's like, read the Silmarillion. Yeah. Call me Tarnufwin. Yeah. Ride your steed across my heather-covered hills of Northian.
Stop giving me shit about it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Yeah. I'm not going to continue with that. That would be... Give it to my Eye of Sauron.
Right.
Anyway, he reprises. It's been a pretty serious scenario, obviously, since Shoto has died. He's in, one of those states where he's locked in. So a minute has passed, but for him it's been 10,000 years. So he's slowly gone mad. They're facing down that same fate himself. But he finally has time to bring back some lighthearted humor to the proceedings. He says to H, "One does not simply walk into Dor Daedaloth," I said, assuming that H wouldn't get the joke. She didn't. So, again, it's he's referencing the same, 12-year-old, memes of 2008, I guess, with the guy making that hand gesture and saying, "One does not simply walk into." Did you not get the joke either? Sorry. I should have been more explicit.
No, you could. I was flashing a Cheshire grin at you.
Oh, it's back, baby.
Yes, it's back.
We get 2 Cheshire grins when she says in her best Jack Burton impression, "I was born ready." We get another Cheshire grin, another page or two later, and that was it for this book. And I just felt like, imagine someone, if you were reading this like without having read Ready Player One, where you're like 297 pages into the book, and all of a sudden you just get someone who flashes a Cheshire grin with no explanation, not even a trademark Cheshire grin, a callback, then just be like, what on earth is this guy talking about?
Her favorite Cheshire grin of all time. All-time favorite, or whatever variation on that. Mm-hmm. We get this strange, we always like to call him out for non-specificity and not knowing what happened with his own characters or action, but then specificity in places where there shouldn't be any. When she finished speaking the command phrase, she suddenly grew in size until her avatar stood exactly 10 feet tall. So he
broke out the tape measure, yeah.
He is, and he's measuring an avatar. Like, what difference does it make how big the avatar is?
Is he like
an avatar?
But is he pressing down on her hair? Like, where does the measurement stop if we're really getting exact?
That's true. I guess a ruler against the wall, and and a little pencil line, and then measure.
But yeah, so she uses her Run DMC quoting skills to turn into that avatar, 10 feet tall. But that does not prevent the big guard wolf from killing her. Mm-hmm. And he, to his credit, there is some sort of, action he describes, like she jumps on his back and then stabs it or something like that. The bar is set low for an action scene. But then we also get this description: "Both of the elven blades continued to grow bright blue as I turned to face Karcharoth. Parentheses. I may have looked a bit silly wielding 2 such large swords at the same time, but my avatar's combat stats made it effortless, and I had double weapon proficiency and ambidextrous attacks, so I got 3 attacks per round with each sword, with each hand." So I don't think anyone's worried about anyone looking silly at this point in time, because, keep in mind, he is still wearing the raspberry beret.
That is true.
But then we're just getting this weird nitty-gritty of the attack system on this planet, which we just went the entire Prince attack with him just saying, "And that happened." I was not questioning how silly it was based on whether you got 3 attacks with each round or 2. I was content to just say the rules are going to change frequently, and we're just going to be told that something happened after it happened.
Right. But did you notice what happened in H's final moments?
No, tell me.
H turned to lock eyes with me just before she went limp and fell to the ground.
Nice. The locked eyes are back, baby.
They're back in a big way. I counted at least 4 in these sections. Rolled eyes are happening even more rapidly, but but locked eyes, yeah, they're keeping pace.
Man, yeah, it's dance with the one that brought you to the dance, I'd say.
That's true, yeah. But H was also doing on the Tolkien planet while riding a Tolkien horse, and she was pressing buttons on her sneakers and quoting Run DMC.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can't help himself, I don't think.
Is that part of the? Is that another, geek thing? Run DMC.
I don't want to speculate, but I guess if he is, it's of the same era of the Prince stuff that he's evidently a big fan of. But I'm not sure how it fits in. I mean, it is. It's like this is a weird sentence for a lot of people to say to people that they work with, but we were discussing the Burger King Kids Club earlier in the week.
That's true. That's true.
And we pointed out that there was the character named Wheels who was in a wheelchair.
Yes.
There was the character named, I think named Jazz, who was the Asian musician. But it is
she wore a beret, in fact.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
At all times, I'm guessing.
Yes.
But then it is sort of like having the African American rap character named DJ or something like that,
right? Yes.
Who is quoting rap lyrics and doing that sort of thing. Hey, she loved Prince. This is of the same era. Maybe her dad left her Run DMC things too. But it is for a guy who was just turning to the camera about the orcs on Middle Earth, it's a little ham-fisted.
It is. Did you recognize the lyrics when they were quoted? Because I had to look it up. I think later it says, but she does the first time, just says, "Got a pair that I wear when I'm playing ball, H recited, with the heel inside, make me 10 feet tall."
I assumed, because I knew they had a song called My Adidas.
Okay. I did not know that.
Run DMC, to me, if you go back and listen to it, it's a little too, my name is Run and I'm here to say by this point in time. It is... They say that that Rakim was the first guy to rap off the beat.
Oh, really?
That was not obviously not the first, but the first. That was the big innovation where it was you didn't have to do the da 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 da, which is a hip hop, like the Sugar Hill Gang type of thing.
Right.
That is and then rap got good type of thing.
Right.
But so sure they've got some catchy tunes, but it's a little too. The way that Robin Williams would have rapped, I think, in one of his impressions.
Right. Well, this one ends, unless you have more notes, with he actually does kind of an end of a chapter thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's the wolf is bearing down on him. What is it? Charcheroth? Carcheroth?
Yeah, it's something like that.
Bearing down, spreading its massive jaws with a rictus grin.
Nice.
As he approached me. So that's something he saw in another book, and he got that out. So good on him.
Stalactite was the word of the day. The next day, and then the Indian Dome, and then he tore off rictus for the day he wrote this one.
Right. And then he's about to die, but no, not even close. Then my ex-girlfriend fell out of the sky.
Yeah.
End.
May as well literally and then the hand of God appeared as a.
Yes. And then God in the machine descended. And that's, we're up to chapter 25.
Chapter 25. This one begins, right where the other one left off. And this is something I thought I knew what he was getting at when he said Artemis made a superhero landing on the rocky ground. I was like, is that just what everyone does in the movie trailers where, you land, one hand touches your other one's outstretched?
Yes, exactly. You kind of fist to the ground kind of thing.
Yeah,
yes.
And then you tilt your head up. But then I looked that just to make sure, and that's a thing. There was a scene in Deadpool, a movie that I have not seen because I thought it would be a very Kleinian movie, sort of fourth wall breaking type of thing. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole just they joke about she's going to do a superhero landing and then she does one and they're like, oh yeah. So I think he is nodding towards a kindred spirit, I think.
Oh, okay. But that is right after it lost me because it was a reference to a sound effect from Super Friends cartoon.
Oh yes.
So I didn't. I was too irritated to even notice the superhero landing.
That's good. That's like when you get a poison ivy and it distracts you from your mosquito bites or something.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
I also like this in his spirit of his not really being sure what he's describing or what his characters are feeling. she rose to her full height and faced off against the Wolf Warden of the Gates of Hell, her long black cloak whipping out behind her in the wind like a cape.
Yep.
What are we? Where are we at? Now we're parsing the difference between capes and cloaks here. Like,
that confused me as well. I had to go back and reread it. What am I seeing here? The cloak is like a cape.
Is the wind not disturbing the beret off of your head at this point in time?
And then wielded his cane, which reminded me of a walking stick. Like what?
Yes, his shillelagh reminded me of a cudgel.
Yeah. But we get two things right in a row here as he reacquaints himself with his ex-girlfriend, who gives him an enormous amount of shit about not reading the Silmarillion. This made her lose her composure and snort laugh several times in a row.
Yeah.
Which made me snort vomit several times in a row.
Oh, my God, yeah.
But then, good to know, I said, locking eyes with her.
Nice.
There you go.
The thing that made her snort laugh?
Oh, yes. What was it?
I'm doing my best, so don't treat me like I'm some block-headed brace girdle from Hard Bottle. Yeah, I should have given you a heads up. It sounded like you might have been taking a sip of something there.
I was, in fact.
I don't want you to do a spit take here. But yeah, that really got her. And I said again as a note, pregnant widows. H is he's cackling with madness as he's been locked in now for 1,000,000 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is happening. Snort laughing and locking eyes.
But
Shoto's dead for sure. Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. But the clue here, they are told, the last two shards are set in Morgoth's crown, but she says it's a trick and she'll only take one of them. It's not really expounded upon other than, I guess, this happened in the Silmarillion. And then he starts experiencing the symptoms of synaptic overload. I think he's either giggling or lightheaded. But she tells him to turn into a wolf for a page or two, and she becomes a bat.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a bat, he's a wolf. And then they go into a room, and then she turns out of a bat.
Yes.
I highlighted it. She was a bat for 115 words. It seems to have no impact on the plot at all. She did not need to reach something out of the way. She did not need to vampire bite someone. And then I guess as she's turning him into she turns him into a wolf. Also has no impact because he doesn't trick any other wolves. He doesn't wolf jump somewhere. But she gives him a cloak, I guess, that says it will protect you in combat and prevent you from being poisoned by the cursed weapons of the great enemy. And here, put this on too. And the other thing is what turns him into a wolf. When I went back to be why did she turn him into a wolf? And I was like, she gives him something that says it will prevent you protect you in combat and prevent you from poison. But that's not the thing that turns him into a wolf. He just turns into a wolf.
Oh my God. It's even
wolf
worse. It's even worse than you think when you drill down on this. Listen to this writing. It took some getting used to. This is being a wolf.
Being a wolf.
So it took some getting used to. But I'd transformed into plenty of other four-legged creatures during quests, so I was already used to the sensation.
Wow.
Directly.
Back to back.
6 words later, contradicting.
Yeah, we when we're going through a riff track script, it's we had a couple in the past 2 minutes that ended with this construction. Similar enough. It's
yeah,
we're not at the level of a New York Times best-selling book people are publishing where it's you use this thing twice in the sentence back to back. You'd think there would be, again, an editor who would point that out.
You would think.
We have, we just said this is 5 minutes ago in the script, we got to change this one, quick, easy change, doesn't impact much. Just re-change the phrasing here. So, but yeah. Well.
Listen to this description of Morgoth, who I believe it is a character from the Silmarillion, correct?
Okay, yeah.
Morgoth was even more terrifying than I'd imagined. He was a towering demonic figure covered in black plate armor who looked like he belonged on the cover of every hardcore heavy metal album ever made. So, is that the way it works? The Tolkien was stealing from heavy metal album covers?
Yes.
I mean, this is a character from a Tolkien thing. He looks like he belongs in a Tolkien novel because he is.
Right. But
what?
And the Tolkien stuff like directly inspired the like Frank Frazetta, right? Is that the guy's name? Like that's
obviously
where it all came from. Like Tolkien, you know, proto heavy metal, like Led Zeppelin was putting references to Tolkien in. Like that's the reason that there's things like that.
Yes.
On the cover of, you know, Iron Maiden albums and stuff. But every, you know, so does it belong on the cover of, you know, Metallica's self-titled album, which is just black except for a little snake? Does it, you know?
Everyone. And which was the Hall of Fame heavy metal band? Was Jethro Tull, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, they won a Grammy.
So doesn't that, it belongs on the cover then of every Jethro Tull album, clearly.
Yeah. There's like a, you know, I don't want to get into it, but it doesn't, it's just again, an unforced error.
Yes.
But yeah, so his only accessory was a 7-foot-long melee weapon laid across his lap, which his HUD helpfully informed me was named Grond, the hammer of the underworld, and was capable of killing my avatar with a single blow. And I just want to call back what he said at the end of the last, or 2 chapters ago, that made him do the laughing hysterically at how unfair this all was. The last 2 shards were located in the depths of hell, set into the crown of Satan himself. And so he's encountered this guy who's more terrifying than he imagined. He can kill him in a single blow with his 7-foot-long melee hammer. The moment we laid eyes on Morgoth, Artemis began to sing. Her voice echoed off the black chamber walls, and as she finished the song, all of the orcs, balrogs, and other fearsome creatures that stood guard in Morgoth's court were lulled to sleep. A few terrifying seconds later, Morgoth himself tipped forward out of his throne unconscious and crashed face first onto the bronze floor. So that was easy.
Yep. Done and done.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, why not just have him like have a unexpectedly high voice and be like, "Take the shard." Yeah. Like it just you've really just whizzed it down your leg at that point in time.
Or it could have at least said, you know, we started to do some sort of battle with Morgoth. Look, I don't know what happened, but at the end, I had the shard.
I guess she sang or something. I don't know. I can't carry a tune. Was he surprised at how good her singing was? Wasn't he surprised by that before?
Surprised.
Maybe that's what tilted him out of his chair. The surprise was what got Morgoth.
Then there's a lot of confusing plot-wise. Like, he can't get the jewel out of his hand, but the jewel is the shard, but it's not the shard for a while yet, right?
Yeah.
And he says you'll have to, a wolf will bite your hand off or something. It's just, none of it makes any sense. It's just reference to the book. Right?
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
And then it just turns into the shard. So that's it. They just go in, they sing the thing, it falls asleep, they grab the shard. It's not a challenge at all.
No. All she had to do was sing. But then there is the wolf Chartaroth or whatever is back. But then she summons a wolf hound by like putting a little Funko Pop on the ground, and it turns into a wolf hound, and that chases him away. And so he has been a wolf, but that didn't impact either the wolf or the wolf hound. So yet again, an unforced error. No word on whether he was still wearing the beret as the wolf, or if that, you know, like in Mario Odyssey, where your Mario cap is always on you. So maybe this is where the beret disappears. If that wasn't,
that's true.
If that didn't mutate
implied beret disappearance.
but then again, if it's like a Hulk situation, all his clothes didn't disappear when he became the wolf, right?
Oh,
he's not now nude.
The wolf is wearing a raspberry beret.
I think so. That's how I interpret it. But yeah, then the shard appears once the wolfhound chases the wolf away, and our former wolf is now holding the shard.
And he turns into Kira again.
He turns into Kira, and yeah, that it shows the scene where Og presented his replica of Rivendell from Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movies to Kira, and she's just moved speechless, probably because she's thinking about the town where they rerouted the river, who has now gone bankrupt and their wells have run dry.
Yes. I'm glad that you continued with the description of which Rivendell, because
thank you. Yes,
I was very, very confused that the first half of your sentence, but then the second half cleared it up.
You can't leave these things to chance. We're deep into Silmarillion.
That's true. Oh, made me snort laugh anyway.
And then they hop on the eagles. And she's giving him some sort of more wiki dump. She says, the great eagles used to roost back there on the peaks of Thangorodrim. But now their eyrie is the Chrysogeum mountain range in southern Ikoria. For some reason, her calm tour guide demeanor made me laugh out loud. For some reason. Sorry, I said when she looked over at me. I just love listening to you geek out, Artie. I always have. She gave me a sad smile and then looked away. And that's just really the reaction that he deserves most of the time.
A sad smile. Yeah, that's all I have. Plot wise, this is where the is it called the Vonnegut?
Yes, the space arc is called the Vonnegut.
Oh, and Arcadia is the is that the computer console?
Yeah, I think that's what the Vonnegut's version of the Oasis, I think, is called.
So now I think this is the only reason that was ever mentioned is that because Anorak will be destroying everything, what is the point? And so, oh no, he's going to steal the Vonnegut and put himself in there and fly away from destroyed Earth.
Yep, he's going to take the consciousness of Kira, upload both of their consciousnesses to the space arc, and blast off to their, so they can just be alone forever, I guess.
Okay.
And he says, so he sort of just dumps that on us in a paragraph, and then goes, that had to be it. He's really tapped into the motivation of this NPC Anorak in the time that he's been dancing DDR and driving out to 394 in Minneapolis.
Right. Well, that is the writer's métier. Like when they're solving the stupid shard thing in the John Hughes universe, someone comes up with an utterly crackpot theory, and then another person goes, "That has to be it."
Yep, okay. Exactly.
All right. If you say so.
All right. There's no misdirection. There's no things that aren't what they seem. Everything is. I mean, yeah, everything is face value in this book.
First guess is the correct answer. And that, I don't have anything else. They ends with a kiss here, right?
Yep. If they've kissed before, I mean, she kissed him when he came up with something on the John Hughes planet, I believe, and he was sort of like, gobsmacked by that. But they kiss again.
Okay, and that's the end of that chapter.
Yeah, we move on to chapter 26, which is just a really mini chapter. Not too much happens. He goes to Chthoniya, which is her make-believe planet where she said all her quests, and he discovers an altar that has room for all the stones, and he that's pretty much what happens. It says he places the 6 stones there. That triggers the flashback of when Halliday made her try on the first ONI rig, but then realizes that that's when he captured her consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he witnesses that, he says, now it was impossible to deny that he had also been a profoundly fucked up human being, immoral, disturbed, emotionally detached, a techno-hermit who had betrayed the trust of 2 of his best friends in the world. My days of lionizing him were at an end. Now it was impossible. The whole book is predicated on his evil consciousness. It's just killed 2 of your friends.
Right. But it's just coming to him now. He's a little slow on the uptake. I guess this, I'm sure, will be sent in as a dumb sentence. For the first and only time in my life, I saw Anorak react with what appeared to be genuine surprise.
Read that again.
For the first and only time in my life, I saw Anorak react with what appeared to be genuine surprise.
That's just a bevy of body blows to absorb there.
That's taking his 2 favorite stupid things and just mashing them together. Uh-huh. For the first and only time in my life. A
character he encountered for the first time 10 hours ago.
I saw Anorak react with what appeared to be genuine surprise.
And it's a computer program, so...
Yep.
But the plan he has, and that I guess some scene in the boardroom ended with him saying, "I had a plan," and then when I told it to them, everyone agreed it was a great plan. And then the plan was that he, Faisal probably, and his techno wizards made 7 counterfeit shards that as he hands those to Anorak, turns into a jewel of acquisition, so that as soon as Anorak touches it, it allows him to select one item out of Anorak's, allows Wade to steal one item from Anorak's inventory. No reason why they made this so limited as they were coming up with it. If it was just like, sir, while we're making this, we could make it take his whole inventory. Let me just change this one value into the infinity. No, one is fine.
Leave it one.
Yeah. Well, sir, what if we just made it kill him? It could zero him out entirely. And
I mean, as long as we're in here, we've got the thing. It works. We've
no. I just want the robes. My inventory is maxed out, and I don't want to drop the I don't know he's mentioned everything stupid from the 80s. I don't want to drop Fievel's beret from An American Tale while we're talking berets.
Nice beret, yeah. So just to be clear, though, this never came up before. This was not part of a plan or a plot, right? This is not the Thomas Crown affair or something with the twists and turns. He's just saying this. Oh, by the way, we made this thing.
Yeah, I went back.
Okay.
Because I
had it been mentioned?
Well, no, he said at some point in time, he's like, I had an idea, and when I told it to everyone, they agreed to do it.
Oh, okay. So that's what that idea was?
Yes.
Okay.
And now we're just told about it 100 pages later. I assume everyone applauded the idea when he told him about it, though.
Yeah, so his robe's gone. He just turns into that weird nerd gross guy from the movie.
Yep, Space Invader shirt and
the guy who kind of talk like this.
The Oscar nominee from the movie.
That's right. But that's all I got.
Yeah, he takes the robes. He's got the robes back. We've got a lot to resolve in 50 pages. We've got to figure out why on earth we needed a low 5, what they've been doing this whole time. He heads off to push the button. So is he going to push the button? Are our friends who are locked into their rigs going to be revived with no brain damage? Is he going to get to kiss or even make love to Artemis again? A lot of things to resolve.
Is Shoto's wife, is she... Now, they already have one child, right?
I mean, that's... He says they undertook having their child as a way to convince other Japanese people to
so this is the first.
I think so. I think, we must have just misinterpreted that.
Okay, so she's standing. She's standing right next to his spider coffin. Mm-hmm. I'm as she stands, I'm worried. Like nutrition and everything. You're eating for two. Is she making a sandwich on the spider coffin?
Someone's pushing up a chair. Please take some. Your feet are swollen. Please sit down.
Yeah. So those things have to be resolved, but we'll do that on our final episode coming up.
Yeah, is that going to be? Is it going to be resolved, or is it going to be bleary on it? Are they going to be just sort of loose ends hanging out there?
Maybe the last chapter will just be a redo of and then a bunch of stuff happens.
Capital, yeah, that's right. My dog is great. Is a sentence. It ends with a period.
The director's cut.
And do you like bugs?
All right, okay.
It's like when you see another picture of the Tiananmen Square tank picture. It's always eye-opening to realize there's more to this than just the one thing that we've heard.
Right. Oh, those sentences are better than a lot of the sentences that we're about to read.
Yeah, and it even sounded like a sentence always begins. It sounds like he gets a chuckle out of him.
He does. It's not a snort laugh, but it's a chuckle.
All right. Well,
what do you got?
Well, we have some sentences from people. Some of them are, of course, burned. I believe it was one of our most popular of all time was I Don't Know What Happened Next. That was sent in by like 5 different people, but we'll try to deal with the ones that weren't. This is from Janelle. Like some warrior goddess riding across the skies of Arda on the back of a great eagle with her dark hair trailing out behind her in the wind. She said, could it just seem that way? Because she is riding on the back of a great eagle with her dark hair trailing out behind her in the wind. This is about Morris Day and the Time. Tim said, they all just stood there waiting and looking extremely cool.
Oh, yes.
Just the detail and vividness we've come to expect. This is from Mike. It looked like several hundred atomic bombs had been detonated here, all within the past few months. And his commentary was, right, because right around the 2-year mark, an area that has had multiple atomic bombs detonated starts to see the daisies coming back. This is from Andrew. This is regarding the love symbol into the guitar. It fit perfectly, like a battery. And he says, it is a battery that went into the slot it was designed for. This is Con submitted. Even now, I couldn't help but be awed by the scope and detail of Tolkien's imagination.
Oh, God.
Brett submitted, this is from Sorrento. Anorak is preoccupied at the moment, so he sent me to remind you that every move you make is being watched. If Anorak is monitoring their every move, why did he send Sorrento to see what they're doing? Was Brett's comment. What else do we get that wasn't good? Oh no, we burned that one. We burned, I don't know what happened next or how it all went down. Oh, here's one from Sam. H led me from one padded purple velvet room to the next, occasionally stopping to tell me to touch a specific object, parentheses, or undergarment, to gain access to a specific passage, which would lead us to yet another padded room. He says, aside from Klein trying to make a coy, winky face at his readers, an undergarment is a type of object. So saying a specific undergarment or object makes absolutely no sense.
I didn't even understand what that was supposed to be. I just ignored that.
Right.
I don't know.
But it was just like we were led to believe that he was wearing the beret at all times. H has done all the stuff that we heard about multiple times.
Right.
Like she had memorized it. So this was all old hat for her as she was excitedly saying DDR and doing that. Jeffrey submitted, this is valuable, hard-won knowledge that I'd been sharing with your ungrateful ass, she replied, tilting my beret at a rakish slant and then nodding with satisfaction. He challenged anyone to work the words rakish slant into a conversation without getting punched in the throat. What else do we have? Chris submitted, it was utterly terrifying, so I averted my eyes. He said, you can use this sentence construction in a number of ways, like the food was delicious, so I ate it. The sunset was beautiful, so I looked at it. The rain was wet, so I tried to stay dry. Amanda submitted, a moment later, the desert was behind us, and we were in a strange, otherworldly purple landscape with purple mountain ranges in the distance, with dark purple sky over our heads that was filled with dark purple thunderstorm clouds with bright purple tines of lightning crackling across and between them. I think she just was impressed by the 5 purples in one sentence.
God, that's bad. Oh.
And then the last one was from Hayden. He said, transforming into another animal when you were wearing an ONI headset was a strange experience because you no longer felt like you were inside a human body. He said, this sentence, in the context of the book, with every word Klein has dropped about ONI experiences, is just so perfectly banal and repetitive that I find it hard to describe why it's possibly the dumbest sentence I ever read. There was one, because, it was just like, he went to such great lengths to say, it wasn't like you were experiencing it, it's like you were it. So it's, we should probably be led to believe that if you transform into another animal, it doesn't feel like being in a human body.
Right.
Let's see. All right. What do you got? Anything that wasn't burned?
I have 2. They will funk you up badly, my friend. Ugh, that's just gross and stupid.
Yeah.
But this is a pretty bad sentence. In unison, the other 6 incarnations of Prince all gasped and then grimaced while exchanging deeply offended looks with one another.
Yep, I noted that. So they're just turning Prince into wealthy dowagers who are horrified at the uncouth behavior of the movie's main comedic character at the grand ball.
I mean, picture 6 incarnations of Prince gasping.
Well, I never.
Then grimacing. And then exchanging deeply offended looks. So doing it all at the same time. Gasping, grimacing, exchanging deeply offended looks with one another.
You know how everyone thinks that, popular things like Tupac faked his death, all these people, Elvis was always alive. I think it's proof that, Prince is dead and in the ground or whatever, because if he was still alive, this might be the sort of thing that got him to reveal his plan and come back just to slap Ernest Cline with a gloved hand.
I'm almost certain of it. Ride his motorcycle right up into his driveway and get out and punch him. Yeah.
I had this. I had I thought that the Jason Mewes DJing thing from Jay and Silent Bob was very dumb, but we talked about that. So I have from the final chapter, just as he approaches the altar or whatever he has to put the shards in. Then I took out Kira's Trapper Keeper and opened it up. Our hero, as the book approaches its utter climax. This is. I guess he's been hauling the Trapper Keeper around as he's been wearing the beret everywhere.
It's no wolf fight. I'll say that. Opening up a Trapper Keeper.
Well, that's it. Those are the dumb sentences. Thanks to everyone who submitted those, who is a Patreon supporter. That's patreon.com/372 pages, where all sorts of cool stuff goes down. That's where the interview with our defender is going to be posted. We had all the bonus real or fanfics on there throughout this book because we got so much. And thanks to everyone who supports the podcast on there.
Yeah, thanks very much. And are we going to have a real or fanfic for me? Are you going to pull that together or not?
Yeah, we can do that. Why not?
All right. Well, that'll come a couple days after this stream. What do you got?
Well, this one is from Ian. He probably relates to your dissatisfaction with the Minneapolis landmarks. When you guys were talking about retracing the Gunter's steps through Minneapolis, it reminded me of Bloomsday, the holiday celebrated by James Joyce diehards, where people dress up as characters from Ulysses and walk Leopold Bloom's route through Dublin. Klein, of course, being a two-time New York Times bestseller, is worthy of the same reference. So what day do you think Klein's Day or Wade's Day should take place on? I would posit February 2nd, or Groundhog Day, which is explored in Bill Murray's circular comedic masterpiece, Groundhog Day.
Nice.
I mean, I think it would have to be the day that Marty McFly goes back to the future in the hit movie Back to the Future, October 21st. So.
Oh, okay.
That's probably Klein's Day.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. This one's from Sam. He just submitted something that said, I reached out and took it. This is a show. Oh, yeah. I reached out and took it from her carefully, using both hands while bowing my head slightly, thinking about the time Shoto presented me with his slain brother's sword. And he said, why is this sentence dumb, you ask? Because yet again, Ernest has forgotten what he wrote in his first novel. Wade gives Shoto a sword in Ready Player One after Dato, his brother, dies. Shoto even makes a big deal about it being a Masamune, and apparently Shoto as a character rates lower than getting boring lists in alphanumeric order. First, Ernest forgot he speaks English, and then he clearly forgot the climax of his only emotional beat in the first book. He says, I know it's nitpicking, but this is a book series where virtue is equated with rote memorization. What the hell is the point of doing a sequel if what came before doesn't matter?
Wow, yeah, that's a good point about the memorization is the moral core of characters, and then the author himself doesn't remember. So when did Shoto just spoke English in the first book?
It was just, I think it was sort of a surprise. Maybe we covered it in an earlier podcast, but I think it was explicitly stated, like, I learned from watching, Family Ties or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. I couldn't remember the details of that. All right. And now it's just run through the translator at all times.
Yeah, it's pretty damn awesome. This is from Triss. Recently, I watched some of Dan Brown's masterclass on writing thrillers. That's where the, remember, don't be afraid to suck advice came from.
Right. No, that has come up before, right? His masterclass?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we read Digital Fortress. He says, I haven't finished it yet because it's a chore, but even in the first couple lessons, Brown dishes out some advice that Ernest Cline very much failed to follow in Ready Player 2. So he lists some of the advice Dan Brown gave. 1, Dan Brown likes to use a ticking clock scenario for his novels. Cline does this with the infirmware time limit. But he says the pace has to be fast like a roller coaster. We've talked a lot about the lack of urgency in Ready Player 2. There's no time for pausing and having a long conversation about Andy McDowell's filmography when, in 2 hours, 1 billion people are going to be turned into vegetables. The second advice, if you see a mystery or a question, Dan Brown believes the reader will want to see a quick payoff. In fact, he's very insistent that all loose threads have to be tied up, and you don't want to leave people hanging at a time. And of course, this does not happen in Cline. He advises the author to limit themselves to a few key characters. He specifically says not to name or describe random characters who will only appear in one scene and never be mentioned again. And he cites Arnold Schwarzenegger-looking guy who we've heard of twice.
Mm-hmm.
Avoid lucky coincidences happening for your hero. Readers won't buy it.
Oh, God.
Dan Brown is big on philosophical or ethical quandaries. He advises to make them complex and the villain's intentions to be noble or at least understandable, but methods wrong. He emphasizes the hero should probably be positioned somewhere in the middle, not any extreme. And the example he uses is the science versus religion debate, which this was quickly, like page 3 of Ready Player One, Wade was, on the farthest possible side of.
Mm-hmm.
And the protagonist has to be a likable person with human qualities. Brown's Professor Langdon wears a Mickey Mouse watch to indicate he doesn't take himself too seriously, whereas Wade uses his unlimited admin spy powers to spy on his friends, strangers, and enemies.
Wow.
And the final one, what was that?
Nothing.
The final one is, you may be really passionate or interested in a niche topic. Brown says this is good, but reminds the author the story must come first.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like literally you would put the opposite of that in a vial and grow in a lab. Ready Player One. No story is last, and the passion and interest in niche topics are all that the author has to offer.
Even you pick up any pulp novel, right, that wants you to turn pages, there's always you picture it like a film, so there's always the cutaways. Like if they're going to meet whatever his name, Morgoth or something, chapters earlier it should have been, meanwhile, a dark man in a dark tower paced back and forward, like, they're coming, he said, as he drummed his claws on the marble altar.
Yep.
And then right? And then he goes away for a little while, but he's reminding you he's out there. This is just like, well, we have to go see Morgoth now. Who's that? Morgoth is an evil character from this book that I read. Hey, there's Morgoth. Oh, he's asleep. Goodbye. It's just so... It's not that hard, right?
Yeah.
To seed those things. Like
it's
if
wretched.
You were writing a parody novel, you would do that just out of instinct.
Right. Because, there are no stakes if you're just told this is the worst guy, the most powerful being in the world. And if you just learned about him 5 seconds ago, it's hard to have that sort of like, oh, okay, well, I have to wrap my head around that now. But,
right.
I guess he's already asleep. So not a big deal. One more. This is from McLean. The Vindication of Mike. I assume you're interested. That was the subject line. In class this morning, the subject of bad drivers came up, leading my professor to share a story of a time when he was driving in California, and ironically, a driver from Idaho, the state that we're in, cut him off. While relaying the story, he used the dreaded "the" when referring to the 405. A completely innocuous occurrence I would not have noticed had it not been for Mike's persistent complaining on the topic. He says, however, being from Idaho, as much as I enjoy making fun of Californians, I can't bring myself to be quite as annoyed by this linguistic oddity as Mike is. So he sort of said the vindication, but then he got a couple of digs in.
Yeah, he's trying to have it both ways. Oh, come on. It doesn't annoy you that they like give this grand appellation to their freeway?
A grand appellation.
Like the Queen, the 405.
Last email. This is from Jeffrey. My water heater went on the fritz today. Melted plastic and foam were involved. I couldn't find my screwdriver, so I had to use a penny to unscrew the panel where the short occurred. Fumes were inhaled. It's quite possibly that I shortened my lifespan by a year or so. Nevertheless, it was only the second worst experience of this weekend by quite a wide margin. Fuck this book.
Wow.
So that's, it's a good one to play us out on, I would say.
Yeah, let's leave it there. All right.
Jeffrey, if you start giggling and making Spin Doctors reference, please seek help. It's symptoms that you've inhaled way too much plastic.
All right. Thanks, everyone. 372 pages. Michael J. Nelson here.
Conor, let's finish the damn book.